My name is Silas, I'm a director and cinematographer, and this is my channel Dream Door Films. Today's video is sponsored in part by Dehancer Pro. Let's get into it. So what is Dehancer Pro? Dehancer Pro is a film emulation software that's available on DaVinci Resolve, After Effects, Adobe Premiere. They even have a mobile application. Film emulation is the digital process of replicating the distinct look and characteristics of traditional analog film, such as grain, color reproduction, contrast, and subtle imperfections. And so what Dehancer does is it is one of the steps in the chain that can get you to that quote-unquote film look. Now, when it comes to the film look, it's very important to realize that it's not just a slap-on LUT that gets you to that film look. That film look really starts in the process of your lighting, your cinematography, everything that comes before you get to the color grading process. That's what truly defines your film look. So if you think that just slapping on a LUT or slapping on a program like Dehancer is going to get you to the look of celluloid film, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. So when you think about using Dehancer, it's very important that you consider the use of Dehancer in your pre-production stage. It's part of your lookbook, it's part of your look design, it's how you're going to achieve the look that you're after. This is the basic terminology that you'll need to be able to effectively use Dehancer once you've opened it in your editing application. The first aspect of analog film that we want to manipulate is film grain. And those are those tiny particles that give film images their natural organic texture. Next is halation, the soft glowing edge around bright highlights typical in film photography. Bloom, the gentle diffusion creating a soft, dreamy glow in brighter areas. Gate weave, slight vertical and horizontal movement simulating film instability during projection. Film breath, subtle changes in brightness and color intensity caused by real film stock irregularities. Color reproduction, accurate color behavior specific to real film stocks and print processes. Film compression, smooth and natural handling of highlights and shadows, characteristic of analog film's limited dynamic range. Color head CMY adjustments, adjustments emulating traditional color balancing done in film darkrooms using cyan, magenta, and yellow channels. Film damage, imperfections like scratches, dust, spots, and stains typically seen on physical film. Vignette, darkened corners or edges of a frame guiding viewer focus and replicating lens characteristics. Black and white points, precise definition of the darkest blacks and the brightest whites to replicate film contrast range. One of the biggest things that will make you a true power user of Dehancer Pro is your understanding of color management. There's two ways that you can handle color management, and it plays right into how Dehancer Pro is built. Number one is go into your settings tab. At the bottom corner of your DaVinci is a cogwheel. If you click that and you go into color management, you can actually decide how you want your colors to be managed. If you really want to do a deep dive into how this works, I'll make a separate video, or there's plenty of resources online that can teach you about color management in DaVinci Resolve, but it's not a part of the process that you should skip. So you can either do it in settings, or you can create a node and find the color space transform effect and apply that and make your selections in that node. Now, this is an important note. Using Dehancer is not a substitute for color correction. That's something that you'll have to do before you get to the Dehancer part of the process. If you're working in DaVinci Resolve, then you want to put the Dehancer effects node at the end of the chain. So it'll be one of the last nodes that you manipulate. All the nodes preceding that will be nodes that you use to prepare your footage to be ready for Dehancer Pro. You've already completed your white balance, your color correction, and all of your masking. All of that is done before you get to Dehancer. Dehancer is a very versatile tool, and there's a lot of settings you could toggle, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So in a second video, I'll cover all of the tools available in Dehancer Pro, but for the speed of this one, we'll just toggle through the adjustments that I made to get my final look. So let's go through our settings. In the input, my source matches my color management, which is why it's very important to understand color management. I've selected my film profile, which is going to be Kodak Portra 160 VC. Now we can push it a little bit further. We'll go to Film Developer. Film Developer shapes the final look by controlling the image's intensity and its dynamic range. Those processes control contrast, tonal richness, and color density. So now we'll go to Film Compression. Film Compression gently reduces contrast in your highlights and your shadows. This emulates the natural, softer tonal response of analog film stock. Now Expand increases the dynamic range of your image by stretching your black points and your white points. Now remember, dynamic range is that distance between the darkest and the lightest part of the image that still shows detail. So if you found that during film compression you've crunched some of your detail, go right to Expand and open up some of your dynamic range. Now it's not going to give your raw footage more dynamic range, but it will expand Dehancer's access to it. Now we go to our print profile. Print simulates the rich color and contrast of traditional film prints used in theaters. I've selected Kodak Endura Glossy Paper. Let's go ahead and enable that. And you can see it adds a little bit more juice there. Now we enable our film grain. And I've kept mine at the basic 35mm ISO 250, which is the default, except I've pulled it back to about 14%. Now let's enable our halation. Halation is that soft reddish glow that appears around light sources in film, and that's caused by light scattering through the film base. And I've kept that pretty much default. Let's enable our bloom. Bloom is that soft, dreamy glow that appears around bright areas. It adds a gentle cinematic haze to your highlights. If you push it all the way, you get a really dreamy look, which can be cool, but for my shot, I just want to keep it very minimal. Now enable our film damage. Film damage adds scratches, dust, and imperfections that really emulates the old vintage look of worn film reels. And now we get to film breadth. Film breadth mimics the color shift as if you're pushing a film through a real projector. And now we have gate weave. It mimics the natural jitter of film frame moving through a projector gate. And you can see as it plays, the little shifts in movement and distortion. And overscan reveals the full film frame, including the part of the image that's usually cropped out when projected. And now we'll toggle on and off our look. This is before, straight out of camera. This is after, enhanced by Dehancer. In my opinion, Dehancer Pro is a very versatile tool, and it can really sweeten your image if you're really pushing for that celluloid aesthetic. It's one of the last steps in the chain, and if you really want that look, it's something that you have to plan for in pre-production. Dehancer is a very powerful plugin, and you can very easily break your footage if you don't have all of your settings lined properly. Here are my top tips for using Dehancer Pro. Tip number one, when using Dehancer Pro, don't start thinking about it at the end, start thinking about it at the beginning. Think about which film stocks you're going to use, the adjustments you're going to make. If you can, do some tests and create that monitoring LUT that you use to light on the day. So by the time you get into your color grading, all you're doing is putting on the look that you've already developed, and then you're just sweetening it with the Dehancer tools. Tip number two, really know how to use color management or color space transform. This is not a LUT that you slap on. This is something that's very ingrained into your color grading process. So know your camera, know your color grading. When you get to source, all you're doing is matching either your color space transform or your color management. If you do that, you'll be halfway there before you even start making adjustments. Tip number three, resist the urge of pushing it a little too far. And this is just a general rule with all color grading. It's very easy to push your look to a breaking point. Dehancer is a very, very powerful application, and you can very easily break your footage if you push too far. Those are my top 3 tips for using Dehancer Pro. So that's my review of Dehancer Pro. If you'd like your own copy, use the promo code in the video, and you can also find it in the description. I hope you found this review very useful. If you want more, please like and subscribe.